Rental security deposit is an amount of money paid in advance, otherwise really doesn't make sense. It's held in reserve. It's in the event that the tenant fails on any obligation under the lease, covers a default under the lease which result in loss of rent, any damages caused by misuse of items, lost security keys or access cards, repairs that are not wear and tear. Normal wear and tear, you cannot blame any tenant, you cannot charge any tenant for normal wear and tear of the property. See, this is what I always do with the tenants. I tell him, dear Mr. Tenant, this damage is not a normal wear and tear. Will you fix it or you want me to get a quotation and fix it? I don't know how much will be my cost, maybe 500 dirham, maybe 1000 dirham. I'll give you the freedom to choose also. You know someone, you can do it yourself, you want to have your cousin do it for a less price, do it, fine. I need it good, I need it in good conditions. You want to do it or you want me to do it? It's the job of the broker to create this balance between both parties, right? And you have to explain everything in advance. Sir, I'm telling you now, repainting is on your account when this tenant leaves. If he leaves in normal condition, normal wear and tear, of course this white after 2 years will be little yellowish, isn't it? You cannot blame that guy. If the repainting is on your account, repainting is there and there will be some holes in the wall, of course. Nobody's going to charge you extra for filling those holes. So this is considered normal. From now I'm telling you, 2 years down the line, I don't want any issues with you. So make everything clear in advance. Again, it's like a marriage. The landlord cannot do any alteration in the services of the property. As a landlord, you cannot tell the tenant that, hey, you're living in a complex which has a swimming pool in between. Everyone else can use the swimming pool. You are not allowed to use the swimming pool. I cannot alter, I cannot reduce, I cannot give you less services on the property. Or you can use everything, all the facilities, but you cannot use the concierge, which is in the concierge is for everyone. Why can I not use it? For example, utilities, those facilities. On handover, the landlord must provide the property in good conditions, unless agreed otherwise. I will tell you that, okay, you see this property has these issues. It's shell and core, or it has these issues. I will take a picture, I will attach the pictures as an annex to the property. Do you understand that you are renting the property as it is? Yes, I understand, I'm right. Landlord is responsible for maintaining the premises and must notify, means the service charges, common area fees, everything. The landlord must make sure that the property is in good conditions. Landlord prohibits to disconnect services. You cannot go there and disconnect some services for the tenant. Tenant has the right to file a police report and file a case with RDC. Tenant obligation is to pay the security deposit, pay the rental checks, no alterations or modifications in the property without the written consent of the landlord, return the property in good conditions, pay all fees and taxes and the bills. Tenant doesn't have the right to remove any fixtures unless agreed by both parties, not assign or sublease unless it is agreed with a written consent from the landlord. Clear? Rental increase cap is a decree of number 43 of 2013. It applies to all properties in Dubai, including the free zone properties. Rent caps based on tenants' previous rent versus average similar rent as per the RERA index. I will explain it to you. Rent increase calculator is available on Dubai Land website e-services. Notice must be given to the tenant at least before 90 days. So every tenancy, as a broker, every tenancy contract that you have, make sure to put reminders on your phones 95 days prior to the expiry. Because the landlord is expecting you to remind him, and the tenant is expecting you to remind him. It is not your legal responsibility. Legally, it's not your responsibility, but it's way much more nice, right? How does it feel when your broker is calling you, sir, there is 95 days, I'm just calling to remind you that in 5 days from now, your deadline for informing the landlord if you are willing to renew or you're willing to rent is going to expire. I don't want any issues. That's why I'm giving you a gentle reminder right now. From this tenant, this broker can expect a referral now. True. And that's what you want, right? So make sure every tenancy contract that you have, just put a reminder on your phone. On so and so date, 3 months and 5 days or 3 months and 10 days before the expiry, send me a reminder. Make sure to put a reminder to. And dear Mr. Landlord, as per RERA index, you have the right to increase the average rental of similar property has increased by 15%. As per the law, if your rent is 10 to 15% below the average rate, you have the right to increase it by 5%. You want to do it? I'm sure you want to do it. So let's send an email or a WhatsApp or SMS to the tenant. Tell him that, hey, you want to renew? You're most welcome. As per the RERA index calculator, I'm willing to increase your rent by 5% before 90 days. Informal notice will also be accepted. Even WhatsApp message they accept, SMS they accept, email they accept. Better to have something in writing. I prefer, that's what I write the mobile number of the tenant and the landlord in a tenancy contract and write their email addresses, and I mention that these contact details are, any communication and these contact details are valid. So tomorrow, any SMS sent to that number or any email sent to that email address will be verified. بعدين, notice may simply, it doesn't have to be a long formal letter or something. There will be a, dear Mr. Tenant, there will be an increase of so much in your rent. That's it. One sentence is more than enough. 10% or less. If your rent, if your existing rental amount is 10% or less than the average similar rent, you cannot increase the rent. Your rent is 100,000, market price is 110,000. Can the landlord increase the rent? No, because if it's 10% or less. But if it's between 11 to 20% lower than the market price, then you can increase it by 5%. If it's between 21 to 30%, then you can increase it by 10%. If it's between 31 to 40% lower than the market rent, then you can increase it by 15%. If it's between 40 to 50%, you can increase it by 20%. If your rent is 60% lower than the average market rent, how much can you increase it? Again, 20%. So the maximum increase is 20%, even if your rent is half the rent of the market. If it's 11 to 20%, 5%.
But after
if it's
years, they can increase it, right?
No, always as per the RERA index calculator. 20 to 30%, 10%. 31%, 15%. So it's like, to memorize it easily, this is half of this. If it's 10, no. Cannot. If it's more than 10, half of 10 is 5. If it's more than 20, 10. If it's more than 30, 15. If it's more than 40, 20%, and that's the maximum.
If it decreases, the tenant can ask for reducing?
Who?
The tenant.
No. Tenant is most welcome to walk out, to walk away and to move out, but the landlord has the right to say, and landlords, this is how landlords should be smart. I will say that, okay, you are paying me a rent of 100,000. If you go out there in the market, you can find similar property to 90,000. So as a smart landlord, what will I do? I will tell you, bro, I'm not going to increase your rent, but I'm not going to decrease it also. You're most welcome to, because I know that you do the calculations. Moving out and moving into a new place has costs for you. And it will definitely cost you more than 10,000. For moving, deposit, again commission, blah, 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 and all these headaches. So you will say, okay, it's more feasible for me to stay and renew. But some cases, when my rent is 100,000, and you can get the similar property for 60,000 in the market, I will say, okay, 60,000 is the market, so let me give him a discount. I'll give you 80,000, 75,000. Again, you do the calculation. You say that, okay, you stay, you're paying 10,000 more. But you move out, you will pay 20,000 more. Then you will stay. Example of calculating. Average rent is, okay, do this calculation for me. Average rent is 80,000. Current rent is 60,000. There is a tenancy contract for 60,000. Similar property, RERA index or average market price is 80,000. How can the landlord increase the rent, and by how much? 80,000 minus 60,000. I want to see the difference. The difference is I am 20,000. My current rent is 20,000 lower than the market rent.
Increase 9,000.
25% is 7.
My rent is 25% lower than the market rent. When it is, then it means how much can I increase? 10% I can increase. Your current rent is 25% lower than the average rent. That means, as per the law, when the rate is between 21 to 30%, you can increase it by 10%. 10% of what? 60,000. Then increase in rent, I can increase it by 60. So my new rental amount will be? Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. That's it for today. See you tomorrow.